All right, we're trying this again. So this is Leslie Quander Wooldridge, full name. I gave y'all the full name, coming live to you with DC Now and the Small Business Takeover. And today we are here to talk about cryptocurrency. Hey, Vanetta, you're back. Thank you. Hopefully we'll have good results this time. So we're back here to talk about cryptocurrency, why it matters. Thank you guys for coming back. Hi, Auntia Marie. Hi, Vanetta, waving. We're talking about cryptocurrency because it's in the news lately. And so we just, I thought we might want to give a little bit of information about it. If you've been wondering, I really appreciate DC Now for having me on. We really just want to be able to help the community with information. So thank you. Yes. Welcome to the talk. So a little bit about me so you know who you're talking to. I am trying to actually pin a comment right now, but I am a writer, editor, speaker, and coach. I write a lot about, perfect. Okay, got it. So I write a lot about personal finance, and I was just pinning a little comment, so hopefully it'll be there for everybody. I write a lot about personal finance. I do wellness also, but personal finance is really important to me because I think it really helps when we're thinking about building wealth and that kind of thing. So everybody, you can hear me, right? Perfect. All right. So one of my topic areas is personal finance. Of course, cryptocurrency now is in the space. It's like this very sexy thing. We hear Meek Mill tweeting about it. We hear, it's making headlines. All of a sudden, Bitcoin is hitting all-time highs. And it's like, but you might be wondering, like, what is going on here? Like, what is this cryptocurrency? Is it a scam? Is it real? Should I know about it? And so that's what we're going to be talking about today in this little session. So the first thing I do want to say is that cryptocurrency is not something that's brand new, right? Like, it's been around for a while. Probably the most popular cryptocurrency, and definitely by market cap. Market cap refers to like how much a particular currency is worth based on the number that's out there and then how much each one is worth. So right now, Bitcoin, which is the one that everybody knows, is top in market cap. And so Bitcoin just had its 12th birthday. So this isn't new. And actually back in the day, like, people were buying pizza with Bitcoin, like they had no idea what they had. And now Bitcoin is going for more than 30,000 US dollars per coin, which is like crazy, right? Like, how does something go from $20, $40 to being this much? And it's because this is not something that's brand new. So cryptocurrency, I think it's important for us to know about when we're talking about building wealth, when we're talking about opportunities for investing. Like, it's a very new, in a sense, like, as far as the world is concerned, like, it's a new kind of asset class. Like, think about when the internet came out, right? And how everyone's like, the internet, what is that? Like, what do you mean? And like, everybody was fine before that, and how the internet changed everything. This is a kind of asset class that could potentially change everything when it comes to money. So when we're talking about cryptocurrency, hey people, I see Frank, I see AJ, I see the Holistic Soul. Thanks for joining us. When we're talking about cryptocurrency, we are talking about digital currency, right? And we're talking about digital currency that is decentralized. Now, when we're talking about something being decentralized, and of course, please bear with me because I know some of the words when it comes to this are just like, what, these are very like specific words, but I think it's important to kind of define what we're talking about. So when you think about your money, when you think about the US dollar, like, that it's backed by the federal government, right? Like, where it comes from. With cryptocurrency, it's not necessarily backed by any particular government. And that's kind of the cool thing that some people say. So, that is actually something really important to remember. So we're talking about decentralized currency. It doesn't exist, like, we can't touch it. It's not like paper money, but it exists, a lot of it, on something called a blockchain, which is like a ledger. All right, so cryptocurrency, people have thought in the past that it was something fraudulent. Unfortunately, we've had CEOs come out. I don't know if you've ever heard, like, the JP Morgan CEO came out and said, Bitcoin was a fraud, to now, fun fact, institutions are actually buying cryptocurrency. So we know that this is a real asset class worth paying attention to. And so this is where we come in talking to you. So cryptocurrency is actually a very global market. By the way, if you have any questions, and I think I said this before, but I know some people are new. If you have any questions, feel free to pop it into the question box, or you can put it into a comment and I'll try to kind of like answer them as we go along. So this is a very global space. I don't know how many of you have ever invested in stocks. If you've invested in stocks, can you just throw me like a yes or like a, you know, like something, throw me some kind of emoji, because I'm kind of curious if we have any investors in here. Cryptocurrency is a different sort of market than the stock market because it's, oh yes, I see some hearts. Okay, investors, I got you. So cryptocurrency is different than the stock market, but it kind of works. Some things are sort of related, right? So in the stock market, you know, yes, I see you. Yes, with the bag. You know that you can only trade stocks at certain times, right? When the market is open. Cryptocurrency, the market is global, which I think is super exciting. So anytime you know that you felt like you wanted to log on and buy something of your choice, whether it was Bitcoin, whether it's the number 2 coin currency, Ethereum, which is like, you know, smart contracts, anything like that, you can go on your phone at any time or whatever your device is and buy it. There's no barriers to it, which I think is why it's really important to know about, right? Like, so you know, if you were to buy a house or if you were to sell a house, like usually you have to go through a realtor, go through somebody. With cryptocurrency, you have the power, you can do it yourself, which is another reason why I think it's super important. So this is a global space, it's 24/7. One thing that you absolutely must know about this, please remember this, is that it's a very volatile space. So that's not necessarily a bad thing, it's just something that you want to be aware of. So when we're talking about cryptocurrency, remember I mentioned how people used to buy pizza with Bitcoin back in the day, and now Bitcoin, you know, a few days ago, Bitcoin was trading for over $40,000 for one Bitcoin. Like, so that's what we mean by volatile. Volatile meaning it can go up really fast and it can go down really fast. And this is for whatever cryptocurrency we're talking about. Another fun fact before I take a little break to reintroduce myself for the new people. Hi, Leah. Hi, Diosa. And oh, I'm getting a question. Oh, cool. We dipping in it. Okay, so Vanetta says that she's been getting some free Bitcoin. I hope, sorry, not Vanetta, someone else. Someone said this. Because another thing is, like, we don't necessarily want to tell all of our business, but I love that. Yeah, if you can ever get any free cryptocurrency, like, go ahead and take it. What was I saying? So, yeah, this is a very volatile market. So just remember, when you're in this market, and we'll talk about this a little bit, it can go up and down very quickly. So I remember I did a blog post on my site, lesliequander.com, about Bitcoin when it hit like the number, you know, it hit its all-time highs. It had passed 20,000 per coin. And at that point, that was like December. I want to say it was like mid-December, it had passed its all-time highs. By early January, it had basically doubled. And that's what we mean by volatile. So just if you have any questions, remember to hit the question mark. Feel free to pop it in there. Hey, Escape, and I will try to answer your questions. And actually, I'll take this moment because we're about halfway through just to reintroduce myself. I'm Leslie Quander. Everyone knows me as that. Writer, editor, speaker, and coach. And really happy to be with you today for this small business takeover to talk about what to know about cryptocurrency. So if you have any questions, pop it into the question mark box. I'm happy to talk to you. All right. So another thing to know about the cryptocurrency market, and this is also huge. I feel like people are always like, Bitcoin, Bitcoin, Bitcoin. And that's great. Like, that's for a reason. Obviously, like I said, Bitcoin has the biggest market cap. It's like the sexiest one. It's the one we know about. Bitcoin actually is a lot of the time used as a store of value for people. So I don't know if you guys know this. Tell me this. Did you know that the US dollar, that we're not on any kind of gold standard anymore? How many of you guys have heard of the gold standard, where that was like something that would back up the US dollar? We're not on that anymore. So as a result, you know, we're dealing with inflation. I don't know if you remember, like years ago, maybe what you could buy for a few dollars, it's a little bit more expensive now. We're dealing with inflation. So people like Bitcoin because there are only a certain number of Bitcoin that will ever exist, right? And so once they're out, they're out. I see some hearts there. Yeah. So it's not like you can't print more money. You know, when it comes to the US dollar, we have people, people don't realize it. I just saw a comment. Somebody heard about it but didn't realize. So we're not based on any kind of gold standard. So Bitcoin people like, because it's like, you know, there's only going to be a certain number of them. We're not going to be able to print more of them. Like, you know, we're printing money right now in this country for various reasons. I won't get into it, but you can't print more Bitcoin. Like, they kind of are what they are, right? And so that is actually why people use them as a store of value, because what do we know about things? When they get scarce, when you want something and there's not enough of it, what happens? You're willing to pay more for it, right? Sometimes, right? Whether it's shoes, whether it's like, you know, the latest bag, whether it's whatever. If something is scarce, its value goes up in our eyes, and that's kind of what we see happening with Bitcoin. However, that said, like I said, as sexy as Bitcoin is, as cool as it is, all the headlines that it's making, there are many other cryptocurrencies. In fact, there are thousands of them, y'all. Did you know that? Did y'all know there are thousands of them? So right now we have a market cap of cryptocurrency, and a market cap is kind of when we talk about what everything is worth. And we just had another milestone with that recently. So, you know, when I wrote that blog post that I mentioned on lesliequander.com, I think at that point the market cap, like the value basically in dollars for all cryptocurrencies at that point was like 600 billion, a little over that. And same thing, in just a few weeks it went from 600 billion US dollars to over $1 trillion. Now, I don't know if y'all find that to be amazing, but for something to jump that much in a short amount of time tells me like, wait a minute, this is something that we need to pay attention to. So this is something that money is pouring into it. You know, people are buying it, but here's some really quick tips that I want to give you. And real quick, I'm just going to remind everybody, hey Buttercakes, hey Apple, thanks for joining. I love this. Somebody said amazing. Yes, y'all, this is amazing. So I said this at the top if you weren't here. This is a new asset class. This is like an opportunity to get in on something very early. And I do want to remind everybody, this is not financial advice. I'm not giving financial advice at all, but it is really, really cool technology that we're talking about that we haven't seen, you know, decades earlier, we haven't seen it. So I want to tell you some really quick things just to keep in mind. Hi, Courtney. I want to tell you some really quick things to keep in mind when it comes to this. And wait, it looks like we have a little bit of a question. So the first question that I'm going to answer before I jump in, question is, are people too late to get into crypto? That is a good question. Again, I don't give financial advice, but I would say in my opinion, no, it is not. If I weren't in it now and I heard about it, I would absolutely still want to be involved in it. I think as a space, we're still very, very early. So earlier in the talk, I had mentioned like Bitcoin is only like 12 years old at this point, right? Like it's not like Bitcoin's been out for, you know, 50 years and we understand it. Like there are still so many things that even the federal government in our country doesn't even understand. Like regulations are still being worked out, like policies are still being worked out. So I would say in this space, we are still very, very early. Now, what happens that people, I think one reason people ask this question is because you kind of see how much more expensive these things can get, right? When it comes to like buying them. And so that is something that you might want to consider, because whereas maybe like, you know, a month ago, you could have gotten into Bitcoin. It was priced at around 20,000 or so per coin. Now it's like twice that almost. You might be wondering, wait, that's more expensive. I want to say when it comes to Bitcoin and just cryptocurrency in general, you don't have to buy the whole thing. You can buy pieces of them, which is really important. I'm going to move this question. You can buy pieces of them. So nobody's expecting us to have, you know, $37,000 laying around to buy a Bitcoin at this point. If you just have even like $10 or $20 or $25, you can buy a piece of a Bitcoin. How many people like that? Like you can just hop into your comfort level, try it out, see how you feel. So I would say no, it's not too late at this point. It just might be that certain things might be a little bit more expensive. So when we think about the gains that we want to make, you know, if we want to like say put in money and then hopefully have a chance at doubling it, let's say we invested in Bitcoin, just know that for you to, if you put in $100 on Bitcoin, you know that if let's say Bitcoin is $40,000, you know you can't double your money till it gets to 80,000. So it might just, you know, assuming that happens or doesn't happen, we don't know. Like we said, it's volatile, but it just might take a little longer. So thank you, Escape. I'm glad you like that. I'm glad that works for you. All right. So another question is, how can you store your cryptocurrencies? That's a really, really good question. Thank you for asking this. So basically what happens when you buy these, and someone mentioned that you can buy them now. This is how we know that this space is so exciting. Because I can tell you when I got in, it was not this easy to buy. Like we were doing crazy stuff to like sign up for these exchanges. So cryptocurrencies a lot of the time are sold on exchanges. So you may have heard names like Coinbase, right? You may have heard names like Uphold. Yes, somebody has it in the comments. Coinbase, Binance, Kraken. You know, like these are places where people can buy it. But now, like it's crazy. We have PayPal coming in here selling crypto. Have y'all seen this in PayPal? We have Cash App selling crypto, which I find to be like amazing. Robinhood is selling it. So it's really a lot more accessible. I would say you really want to think about where you are buying your cryptocurrency. Yes, Cash App. You really want to think about where you're buying it. So right now, PayPal, if you buy on PayPal, last thing I read on there is you can buy it on PayPal and they'll keep it for you, but you can't move it anywhere else. So it's kind of like you kind of own it, but you don't really, right? You don't have control over it. But if you buy on an exchange, you're able to store it on the exchange itself if you decide to, or many people will suggest that you buy like a wallet separately, and it's not a wallet like for money. So let me say that. It's like you can store things on like a hardware wallet, which is kind of a device where you can kind of lock it away and have your keys separately. I don't want to get too technical, but you basically can store it on exchanges or off exchanges, and your choice will depend on how much you want to lock it up and how much you want to have it like kind of off the grid, not accessible. Because I will say, when it comes to storing your cryptocurrency online, I don't know if you've ever heard of, I'm going to get rid of this question. Thank you so much for this question. It was a great question. I don't know if you've ever heard of exchanges being hacked. Anything that you have online that you're keeping online, it's possible that it could be hacked. So some people just like to be in control of their stuff at all time. And when we're talking about something that's decentralized, clearly, this is something that we want to be in charge of, right? And a lot of people will say, not your keys, not your crypto. So if you are in charge of your own keys, you're in charge of your cryptocurrency, but you also then have to just be really careful that you don't lose access to it yourself. All right. So, hey, Levi, I see some new people. I just want to get into a few more basic points, and then I'll take a few more questions. I love this. Why is the time going so fast? I love that y'all are hanging out here. Thank you. I'm going to introduce myself to the new people. Thank you for being here. I am Leslie Quander. Hi, I see some waves. Leslie Quander Woolridge. I'm a writer, editor, speaker, and coach. I am super passionate about, yes, not your keys, not your coins. Super passionate about personal finance. Like, look, I'm trying to help all of us like understand that wealth is possible, right? Like, mindset is so important in this. Knowing what is possible, knowing your possibilities is so important with this. So while I'm not here giving financial advice, I am sharing information about this space. So hopefully, if you haven't heard of it, you might feel compelled to learn a bit more about it. And a site that I really like for that actually is called coinmarketcap.com. And that'll teach you kind of like all the coin. It'll show you like how they kind of are positioned. So it'll show you like the top 10, the top 20. It'll tell you about keywords you need to know. I really like that site a lot. So hopefully this is something that you want to learn more about, but just know that it exists, right? Know that it's out there. Know that this is a new type of thing that we can possibly get into. There are no guarantees. Again, this is very volatile. If anyone ever tells you Bitcoin will do this, Ethereum will do this, be very, very skeptical, because nobody knows what's going to happen, but the possibilities are definitely there. All right. Yeah, if you lose your password, so if you have a wallet of your own, somebody said in the comments that somebody lost their password and there was a lot of financial fallout, you can lose your crypto. So it's something you really want to think about and really, really be careful about, for sure. All right, so somebody asked this question. I think this is a good one. I'm getting some good questions. So that I mentioned the US dollar is not backed by gold. What is Bitcoin backed by? Really, when we think about Bitcoin, we just want to think about, knowing that it exists on something called a blockchain, right? And so it's not necessary that it needs to be backed by anything because it's decentralized. So, the reason that the US dollar sort of works, and let me try to put this. The reason that it sort of works is because the government has stood up behind it and says, this works for us, right? With Bitcoin, there's no government that can stand up and do that. There's nothing really that it would be backed on. It's really kind of based on, we know that these exist, supply and demand, we can trace them. There's a supply that cannot be changed. We can track all the transactions, and it's really just like its own store value. So I hope that makes sense. And the more scarce that it becomes, the market kind of decides what it's worth. And there are miners. So somebody says in the comments, there are miners who will like mine this, and this is how we get them. And they're like, recording transactions and doing all kinds of stuff. But it's not backed by any particular government like the US dollar is, which people will say is one of the great things about it, right? Because it can't be manipulated. So again, we talked earlier how the US government has printed money. You can't print Bitcoin out of nowhere. You just it's on the ledger. It is what it is. And so people actually will kind of appreciate that it's not necessarily backed by any particular entity. So I hope that answers your question. Let's see if there are more questions in here. Okay, so here's one, and then I'll get back into some basics. So can people steal my Bitcoin? Yes, they can. That is very possible. So remember we talked about where you store your Bitcoin, right? And so basically if you have your Bitcoin on an exchange, let's say, and the exchange gets hacked, your Bitcoin or other cryptocurrency, because I just want to make sure that we all know there's more to cryptocurrency than Bitcoin. So whatever your cryptocurrency is, if it's on an exchange and it gets hacked, someone can steal it. If someone is able to access wherever you're storing it, your wallet, yes, they can steal it. If for some reason somebody gave you a faulty address to send it to and it went out of your site and you couldn't find it, it could be gone, right? If somebody gets access to your keys, you know, they can steal it. So this is why you want to be really, really careful about your keys. It's like you want to protect them. I don't want to say like your life, but really, you want to really protect them because it's not like a credit card where you can call your credit card company and say like, oh my gosh, someone stole my credit card, like please reimburse me. Like it's a very new market. So if it's gone, it's very, very hard to get back, if not impossible. So you want to be really, really careful about that. But you know, the upsides are that it could potentially bring you some gain. So real quick, I just want to talk about, what do I want to say next? Oh, this is what I want you to know. This is really important when it comes to cryptocurrency and any kind of investing. You never, ever, ever, and especially because cryptocurrency is so speculative. Remember I said it goes up, it goes down, like we don't really know what's going on. You never, ever want to invest money that you need in this space, right? Because what happens is if you're investing money, let's say you need it to pay bills, you need it to go grocery shopping, let's say you need it to pay like a babysitter in the market, and the market has a dip, that's what we call a dip. If the market drops a little bit and you need the money, well, now you might start panicking, right? And I don't know, can y'all like drop me an emoji or a heart if you know this from regular investing? Like you never want to put money into an investment situation that you need immediately because it's just really not possible to know what will happen to it. And you never want to be in a situation where you're like freaking out or nervous or making decisions based on emotions. So always be very, very careful about the money you put in. As I said at the beginning, you don't have to buy a whole Bitcoin. You don't have to buy a whole Ethereum. Ethereum right now is going for over $1,000 per Ethereum. You don't have to buy a whole one. You can start, I got you, greatness. You can start with as little as $10, as little as $20, as little as $25, and just do whatever you are comfortable with. So we were only supposed to go, you guys, until 8 o'clock. And it is 7:58. So I just want to say thanks for rocking with me. We're actually going to stay on a little bit longer to answer some questions because they're coming in and I love this. So we're going to stay in a little bit longer. So please keep hanging out with me. I will say before I go to the questions, again, I'm doing this because I just want people to know about this. I never want to know about something that could be really cool and not tell anybody, right? Like I think there is space for us to all win. And I think, you know, if I know any kind of information, and if you follow me at Leslie Quander on all platforms, I'm at Leslie Quander, like I just try to share what I know and I leave it to everybody to make the decisions that are best for them. But I never want to keep information to myself that could potentially be helpful. And I love it. I'm getting hearts. I love it. I really think as a community, I mean, we're in DC. These are very hard times that we're going through these days. And the most that, you know, as much as we can help each other, as much as we can share information, I know that DC Now is doing a lot for the community and small businesses. As much as we can help each other, I think that's beautiful. So that's actually why I'm here. Somebody wants to know, where can we learn more? I had said earlier that a site I really, really like for learning more about cryptocurrency, just separate from me, because real quick, I mean, you never want to make decisions based on what one person says or even 2 people or 3 people. A site that I like is coinmarketcap.com, and that will teach you some key phrases about cryptocurrency. That will show you like kind of how the coins are lined up by market cap. Like Bitcoin is number 1 right now, Ethereum is number 2. That'll teach you some keywords. I also know, and this is really cool, like Cash App, in Cash App they have a really cool overview of cryptocurrency. I saw it the other day. So a lot of these platforms, like if you go to coinbase.com, Coinbase will give you an overview of the space and they'll explain keywords. Also, you can follow me both on Instagram, and also I'm on Clubhouse. Can I get a like, who's on Clubhouse here? Clubhouse is addictive. Do y'all know? Now, I know I'm on Instagram saying this, but I'm on Clubhouse. I've been doing cryptocurrency talks over there where we talk about all kinds of things because there are like regulations happening. You know, in some cases there are some lawsuits happening. So you can follow me and I'll try to share more information as I have it. Okay, so let's see what the questions are. Can I post the website I recommended? Yeah, let me see if I can get it in here. So excuse me while I am typing. It is CoinMarketCap, and hopefully autocorrect will not you know, hate me as I'm doing this. All right, so that's what it was. I really like that to start out. I also want to encourage you, if you're just starting out in this space, like, don't feel like you need to jump in. Don't feel like you need to be in competition with anybody else. Look, and when I say this, I'm saying this about all kinds of personal finance. We are on our own journeys. We have our own, you know, stuff, our own priorities, our own goals. So start in a place that's comfortable for you. And yes, it is so addictive. Somebody agrees with me about Clubhouse. It is so addictive. There's a question, can you get added to Clubhouse? Right now, Clubhouse is in beta. So at this point, you can be invited. Like if you kind of sign up for it, if you know somebody who's on it, they can pull you in, or somebody can be, you know, someone can invite you, but it is in beta. Hopefully it will expand. But if you are on there, you can definitely find me on there talking about cryptocurrency. At this point, I've been doing it daily. So I did post this question. So we got that one out of the way. All right. This is Leslie again, top of the hour. This might be the last time I do my little intro. Thank you all for being with me. We are here today to talk about cryptocurrency, why it matters. We talked about the fact that this is kind of a new asset class. This is digital money. This is something that's decentralized. This isn't any one government that's behind it. So we know, for example, right now that the US dollar, when we look at how the US dollar is performing against other currencies like the euro, we know the US dollar, unfortunately, is down. Like, we're not doing too well when we're compared to the euro. But this space, cryptocurrency, is sort of like, I've heard it called like an equalizer, right? Because it's a global market. So you can participate wherever you are as long as it's legal in your country. So if you're in Spain, if you're in the United States, if you're in Canada, if you're in, you know, like somewhere in the Caribbean and it's legal for you in your country, this is an equal space where we can get in and do something like that's still pretty early. Let me just actually scroll down. I think cryptocurrency, to sort of round this up, and feel free if you have any questions, hit that question bar. I think, and I just want to confirm again, nobody knows what's going to happen. So when Bitcoin hit its all-time highs previously, and that was like 2017, I don't know if you guys remember that news. Drop me a heart if you do. Remember when everyone got really excited 4 years ago when Bitcoin hit $20,000 and then it dropped and people were saying, oh, Bitcoin is a scam, crypto is a scam. Real talk, like, it's volatile. Like we said, it goes up, it goes down. But it is not a scam. Like, people are definitely, I mean, as far as I know, my opinion, I can't speak for anyone else, people are definitely making money in this space. People are definitely building, you know, generational wealth in this space. But also, and I'm always telling y'all the truth, people have lost money in this space. People have had heartache in this space. People have seen their portfolios really plummet. So again, this is why I'm saying, like, don't feel like this is any kind of pressure. It's not a scam, but it is an investment market, and so you do want to be careful with whatever you're putting in it. So somebody in the comments, I'm not going to say who, says that they're making money. Somebody else says, yes, facts. So I'm not going to put your business out there, but yes, people are definitely making money in this space. Another thing I want to tell you about investments too, and this I think is really important whether you're doing stocks or crypto. So you know, when you look in your portfolio and you see that it's gone up or it's gone down, if it goes down, you don't actually lose the money until you basically cash out, right? Because what happens is, let's say if you just left it alone and you walked away, you didn't try to time the market, because timing the market does not work, y'all. So let's say you just walked away from it, like as we saw in March when the market crashed and we saw it come back up. If you kind of wait for it to come back up, if you believe in your investment, then you don't lose anything. The only time you lose is when you actually cash out. So yes, let me get back to our topic. There are many different cryptocurrencies out there. They do different things. Bitcoin is a store of value. Like I said, a lot of people use it. People will call it digital gold. And so I had said at the top of this that the US dollar right now is not backed by gold. which I think a lot of people don't know. It's backed, like the federal government guarantees it, but it's not backed by any particular thing. So people are kind of looking at crypto as like kind of the new store of value. Bitcoin is the new store of value. But there are cryptocurrencies that do things like smart contracts, which, have contracts that kind of function on their own. There are cryptocurrencies that do tracking. They have like actual use cases, and some of them are jokes. Like there's the Dogecoin, which is just, it started off as a joke and it's actually gone up in value, and it was never really intended to do that, but for whatever reason people love this little dog and it's gone up in value. But they actually can have different functions and they do different things. So I would say if you're getting into this space, not financial advice, but just information, you want to be really knowledgeable about what you're investing in. You want to know who's the team behind it. You want to know what is the purpose of this. Do I think this cryptocurrency is going to be around a year from now, 2 years from now, 5 years from now? Or is this a scam? Because what happens when people do end up, like losing money or whatever, because there are market cycles. So right now we're in what's called a bull run, and things are going up, up, up if you get involved. But there are times when we're in what's called a bear market and things don't go well. And there are also times when things just disappear. So you want to be really confident, I would say, in whatever you've selected for your cryptocurrency, because when things do get dark, when things do unfortunately get a little bit bad, you want to have some sort of belief, ideally, in what you've invested in. So we're going to start to wind down. I see some waving. Somebody says in the comments, government regulation is not always a good thing. I'm not going to comment on that personally, but I do know that people really like cryptocurrency because of the fact that it is. It is independent from the government. You do, in some ways, you do have control. Now, and I don't want to forget to say this, I am not a tax advisor. I am not a financial advisor. But I also want you to know, if you're investing in cryptocurrency, if you're receiving it, whether you got it in what's called an airdrop, like whether you got it as a gift, whether you bought it, there can be tax consequences to this. So please do keep good records. And if you have any tax questions, like please ask a certified tax professional, because right now, another fact, the government does want to know if you have cryptocurrency. When you get your tax, when you start doing your taxes this year, you'll see a question at the front of the whole thing, and they're asking, I'm paraphrasing, but they're asking, did you buy cryptocurrency? Did you receive it? And they're asking you yes or no. So they're asking you about it, and they want to know, so there can be tax consequences. So just be aware. This is real money we're talking about. This is real possibilities. And this is what I love as we wind up. There are real opportunities. I think for myself, there are real opportunities to build wealth. And we know that we have a wealth gap in this country, unfortunately. And this could, assuming the research goes well, for me, I'm only speaking for me personally, this could be a way to build wealth. And that's what I really love about this space. It's super exciting. So let me just look at the last couple questions. This is an interesting question. Okay, so should African Americans consider cryptocurrency or Bitcoin as a form of reparation? This is an interesting question. What I would say about this, and I'll take this as the last question because I know we have to log off, and I really, again, appreciate the welcome. What I would say about this is we know that there is a wealth gap. In particular, we know that there is a racial wealth gap in this country. And that's due to a variety of things, right? Like we know that, Black people have been marginalized. I'm Black. We've been kept out of certain things. We weren't allowed to attend certain schools. We've been through a lot, y'all. We've been barred from institutions. We've been barred from even working. Like we've had to get legislation to get us even in the door, right? Brown versus Board of Education. We had to get legislation to even, not have segregation. So I don't look at this as a form of reparations. But what I do look at this is a way to potentially build wealth for ourselves. And I look at this as a way to potentially, and again, I say potentially because this is volatile, goes up and down. I never make any guarantees, right? But if trends continue like we think they might, I look at this as a way to build wealth in a way that we haven't been able to do before. Because not all of us, not everybody in this, and there's a wealth gap in general, not just with Black people and white people, but not everybody can go buy a house tomorrow, right? Not everybody can go buy an investment property or like start a business and create a corporation tomorrow. But we can buy some cryptocurrency. We can toss $20 into something and dollar cost average in. That means basically contribute a little bit at a time. We can contribute a little bit at a time, and somebody said in the comments, is a vehicle that we can use, and yes, that's what I agree. We can use it to build wealth. We can use it as an instrument to do that. And we're really responsible for that. And that's what I love. It's like, basically, in my view, it's very empowering. It's very exciting. This is a thing that we can do for ourselves and learn for ourselves. And I promise you, once you start learning, at least for me, I got like super excited. Once you start learning, it becomes very, very interesting. And it's something we can do for ourselves to potentially improve where we are in life. Now, I'm going to close out to say, again, this is a very volatile space. You never want to put in money that you need. There are no guarantees in any of this. Just like, there are no guarantees in the stock market. There's no guarantees if you start a business. This is, helping small businesses. When you start a small business, there's no guarantee that you'll succeed, right? But if you try it, it could have an upside. And that's kind of how I look at it. So thank you so, so much, everyone, for being here with me. I am Leslie Quander. Feel free to find me on all platforms at Leslie Quander. And I really appreciate the welcome so much from DC Now. And this is the Small Business Takeover. Thank you so much for being with me. And I'm going to say goodnight unless there's any final questions. Oh, and real quick, I will sum up because we just got a comment, and I'll repeat this. We talked earlier. You want to be very particular about where you're buying your cryptocurrency if you decide to do this, because depending on the platform, you may or may not own it yourself, right? So what I mean by this, again, and I said this earlier, some platforms will let you buy Bitcoin, but they won't let you transfer it into something else. They won't let you send it to another wallet, right? Like, they hold it for you, and then when you want to sell it, they give you your money, but you don't get to take your Bitcoin with you. So you want to be very particular. In my opinion, I think it's ideal to actually hold the asset and be able to move it and trade it as you see fit. And so you just always, in this space, really remember this too, read the fine print, right? Like, before you use a site, look at their terms of service, look at what the responsibilities are, really read the fine print, really advocate for yourself, do the research, and I will wish you all the best. So, okay, I really will log off. We could talk about this forever. So thank you so much for being here with me, and thank you for the welcome, and thank you so much. This is Leslie Quander with DC Now for the Small Business Takeover, and it has been a pleasure. Thank you, guys. Bye. Please let me do this right.